everybody. Welcome to OCD Whisper. And today I'm going to have a little bit of a personal share with you. I I kind of actually just posted a reel about this on my Instagram, but I have been kind of quietly watching and observing my brain, my kind of reasoning processes, and kind of how I'm thinking about stuff. And I've come to recognize that perfectionism has started to show up in my business. And what's happened is I kind of started to feel like I'm having a bit of a split and kind of losing my mind a little bit. And that I go from, okay, I have my private practice, then I have this website I put together called Mastering OCD. Then there's this podcast. Then I'm like, oh, I started this YouTube channel. Then I changed the YouTube channel's name. And then I'm like, okay, I created this self-directed course and an ebook. And it's like, okay, that's all great. And these are all things that were kind of on my bucket list that I really felt like my creativity kind of got to be channeled in this way, which was super cool and exciting. But also what happened is I suddenly kind of found myself sitting here now for like 2 or 3 months, kind of going, what is happening? Why do I feel so discombobulated? I actually really like that word. But like, yeah, I'm feeling discombobulated. I feel kind of like all over the place. And like suddenly I have so much stuff that I have to manage. And things did not seem to be streamlined. And I personally started to get a little bit lost and confused, and I'm looking at my other colleagues thinking, what's wrong? Like, why am I not able to get this together? And I'll be honest, throughout these, 2-3 months, I've definitely, kind of, I would say had some, what I would say is kind of normal kind of doubt and questioning, kind of re-looking at your business. And then I started to go into this obsessive doubt where I started to proactively really overanalyze everything, overassess every detail, overthink every nuance. And that's an example of how perfectionism, just right OCD, can show up. So for me, that's one of the things I deal with, as well as relationship OCD and this fear of doing something wrong. For the most part, I'll be honest, my OCD has been pretty good, especially since I've been, using a combination of ERP approaches and a newer approach of inference-based approach. So I've been learning more about that therapy. I'm still in training for it. But I have started to implement some of those principles and strategies myself. And, and excuse me, I'm a little sick, as you can hear. And it's been really kind of cool to see where it is that I start to go from something that is, real and that I'm dealing with, that is has value to kind of think through and analyze and come up with a strategy. When I go from that place to a place of kind of the OCD imagination is what it's called, when I kind of lose sense and lose touch with reality and start to go in my head and start to create a whole lot of stories about all these imagined scenarios, like everybody's going to hate me, people are going to be confused and frustrated, you guys aren't going to enjoy my podcast anymore, everybody's going to leave, and all this work I've been putting in has been for nothing, and that I've wasted time. And when I realized that I was doing that, I realized, hold on, Christina, you're kind of like running away with yourself with this whole big story in your mind about these initial kind of triggers that you're having. And what you need to do is come back and really reconnect more to, what is actually happening, right? What are kind of the facts, and how do you know something, right? How do you know something? Well, you know something based on your senses, right? Using your 5 senses, you have sensory evidence. You have a way to then connect to the here and the right now and really look at what's actually happening in front of you. Not all the possibilities of all the stuff that could be happening and could go wrong, but looking at what actually is happening right now. The other way we know stuff is kind of connecting back to who you actually know yourself to be. Like, I know in all my years of experience, granted, sure, I've made mistakes, but all in all, I know who I am. I know my values. I know how I show up for people. I know, um, the kind of intentions that I have in the world, which are, to help people, to be a good person. So when I start to think about, oh my God, everybody's going to leave, nobody's going to follow this anymore, people are going to be confused. And furthermore, Christina, make sure nobody sees that you're making this error, this mistake. Oh my God, because it's not perfect. It's not right. You're really going to be really vulnerable. I recognize like, hey, that's okay. Like that's actually part of the process. And that because I know myself, I know that the best way to teach something is by also leading with an example. So part of today's podcast and part of what you'll see in terms of a shift, excuse me, in my business is things will be more streamlined. So instead of having like 50 different directions, everything's going to really be housed under one roof, which is core results, OCD and anxiety specialist, because that's what I am. That's who I am. And under that will be different things that will be offered. So there's my private practice in California. There's the self-study course where once a month I'll be showing up there, answering any questions you guys have, and I'll be kind of revamping that. And then there's the ebook that I put together with a 30-day journal to help you stay accountable and move forward with targeting and addressing your compulsive rumination so you can break that cycle. Then there's this podcast, and I wanted this podcast to be available both in audio and video, which is why I started also the channel. And I've gone back, kind of changed the name there, but I've gone back to renaming it to OCD Whisper Channel, because the reality is I love this name and I'm connected to it. And I think there's a certain bit of fun about it. And also it is, just something, like I said, makes me happy. And I think end of the day, part of running any business is you also have to do things that make you happy, right? You have to do things that light you up. And so in order for me, when I was thinking about to continue to provide the support, the help, build any other resources and so on, is I've got to do things in a way that are way more streamlined, way more simple, and really even more easily accessible for everybody. And in big part, a lot of this is driven by, I think a lot of you have seen or heard, my mom has cancer. It's been 14 months now that, she's been going through treatment, and, I've been there with her. And, when you're going through this experience, I mean, it really has you reevaluate things and has you really look at like, how many years kind of do I think I might have left on this planet Earth? And what do I want to do with that time? And how do I want to be? And how do I want to live? And do I want to do things in ways that are complicated? Or can I find a way to make it more streamlined and easy so that you actually get the value and the benefit, which is the whole point of all of this? So all of this is to say that I'm now being very open and vulnerable, and kind of, you're going to get to see the mistakes right out there on my platforms. You'll see the mistake I made on my channel. You'll see the posts that I had like on my social media that used to say OCD Whisper, then started to say Mastering OCD. Now they're going to go back. So, you're going to see all that live. And I'm choosing to leave it as part of my own ERP, but also as part of just learning and leading by example, to show you that, look, you can make mistakes, even if it feels like this is horrible and terrible. And, I'm kind of going back and forth, and this is the exact thing I teach people, how to kind of circumvent this. And yet here I am, I got caught in this moment. But instead of cleaning it up and trying to present perfectly, I'm going to say, look, I'm human. Here it is. Here it is. What can I do? Right. And so I thought, well, what I can do is just be open and honest with you about it. One thing I also want to let you guys know that if you have questions that you want me to answer in future podcasts, please do not be shy to email me. info@coreresults.com, info@korresults.com. You will see that email in the show notes. And every time that, something pops up, especially if it's something I haven't ever answered before, I definitely would love to jump on and answer it for you. And if you send me those inquiries, I'll definitely, look through the different questions and see, if there's enough of you asking the same thing, I'm happy to jump on and explain it more or address it for you. So don't be shy to reach out. And other than that, what I was really hoping for this episode is to more kind of have a vulnerable share and just let you know that, the biggest kind of key takeaway that I'm hoping you guys get is that, even for somebody like me, like I got kind of wrapped up in this moment, but the biggest takeaway is because I know ERP tools, because I'm learning and using inference-based therapy strategies to catch myself when my OCD logic starts to become erroneous and is not based in reality, but starts to kind of go off into this, if you will, OCD imagination fantasy land, where I start to kind of sell myself on a lot of stories of all this possibly bad stuff that could happen. I now have a way to recognize it even better. I've used to recognize it before, but now I can see things even better. And it makes it much easier for me to then actively choose to come back to reality at hand and actually reconnect to the here and now using my senses and sense evidence is what we call it, using, connecting to my true self, using common knowledge that I have about myself and the situation to kind of reground myself in facts and things that I actually do know, so that I kind of get away from that OCD storyline. I come back to what actually is going on, and then what is that I need to do about X, Y, or Z, and then go ahead and do that so that I can continue to take action and move forward, so that I'm not getting stuck and going through these loop cycles. I will be putting together 2 different workshops, training groups that I will be running in the near future, and there'll be more information about that. One will be on ERP, and one will be on inference-based approach. So you will have more information as I work to kind of streamline everything, kind of clean it up, and then work on putting those together. And then I'll get you that information. And whoever wants to join, would love to have you in those future workshops. All right. I hope that you guys are doing great. If you're listening, whatever platform you're listening to, subscribe, follow, get that notification on, whatever you can, to make sure that you are here with me. And if you can, please make sure, if it is a podcast platform you're listening to, please give me a 5-star rating. And if you want to have any future episodes answering your questions or certain topics that you want me to discuss, please make sure that you send me an email. All right. Talk to you soon. Bye.